less frontal development than I should have expected. It is a dangerous habit to finger a loaded firearm in the pocket of one's dressing gown. You evidently don't know me.
On the contrary, I think it is fairly evident that I do. Pray, take a chair. I can spare you 5 minutes if you have anything else to say.
All that I have to say has already crossed your mind.
Then quite possibly my answer has crossed yours.
You stand fast?
Absolutely.
You crossed my path on the 4th of January. On the 23rd, you incommoded me. By the middle of February, I was seriously inconvenienced by you. At the end of March, I found myself absolutely hampered in my plans. And now, at the close of April, I find myself placed in such a position by your continual persecution that I am in positive danger of losing my liberty. The situation is becoming an impossible one.
Have you any suggestion to make?
You must drop it, Miss Holmes. You really must, you know.
After Monday.
I am sure that a woman of your intelligence will see that there can be but one outcome to this affair. It is necessary that you should withdraw. You have worked things in such a fashion that we have only one resource left. It has been an intellectual treat to see you grapple with this affair, and I say unaffectedly that it would be a grief to be forced to take any extreme measure. You smile, madam, but I assure you it really would.
Danger is part of my trade.
It is not danger, it is inevitable destruction. You stand in the way not merely of an individual, but of a mighty organization, the full extent of which you, with all your cleverness, have been unable to realize. You must stand clear, Miss Holmes, or be trodden underfoot.
I'm afraid that in the pleasure of this conversation, I am neglecting business which waits me elsewhere.
Well, well. It seems a pity, but I have said what I could. I know every move of your game. You can do nothing before Monday. It has been a duel between you and me, Miss Holmes. You hope to place me in the dock. I tell you that I will never stand in the dock. You hope to beat me. I tell you that you will never beat me. If you are clever enough to assure my destruction, rest assured, I shall do the same to you.
You have paid me several compliments, Miss Moriarty. Let me pay you one in return when I say that if I were assured of the former eventuality, I would, in the interest of the public, cheerfully accept the latter.
I can promise you one, but not the other.
She just has scars and never felt a wound. Soft? What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who's already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid. Since she is envious, her vestal livery is put sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heavens, having some business, do entreat her eye to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there? They, in her head, the brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven, through the airy regions stream so bright, birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand? Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. Ay me. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze upon him. When he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more? Shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's a Montague? 'Tis nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without the title. O Romeo, doff thy name, and with that name that is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo.
What one art thou that thus bescreened in night so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair saint, of either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me and wherefore. The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find me here.
With lovelight's wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do that dares love attempt? Therefore, the kinsmen are no let to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, their lies were peril in thine eyes, 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight. But thou love me? Let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prerogative ultimate by love.
How dost thou foundest out this place?
By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot yet. Wert thou as far as that vast shore, washed with the furthest sea? I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush but paint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoken, but farewell compliment. Doth thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I'll take thee at thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. At lovers' perjuries they say Jove laughs. O gentle Romeo, if thou doth love me, pronounce it faithfully. Or, If thou dost think I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay, so thou wilt woo, but not else for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayst think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardest ere I was where my true love's passion. Therefore pardon me, and not inquire this yielding to light love which the dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I swear that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops.
Oh, swear not by the moon, that inconsistent moon that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
If my heart's dear love...
Do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy in this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning, which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet, good night. The bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, by sweet repose and rest. Come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For a reason, love.
But to be frank, and give it thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good friend. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. I'll come again.
Blessed night. I am afeared this being late. It's all but a dream. Too flattering, sweet to be substantial.
No room. No room. No room.
Well, there's plenty of room.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited either.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid for a great many more than 3.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
I believe I can guess that.
Do you mean you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know.
Not the same thing a bit. You might as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might as well say that I like what I get is the same as I get what I like.
You might as well say that I breathe when I sleep is the same as I sleep when I breathe. It is the same thing with you. What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
It was the best butter.
Yes, but some crumbs might have gotten in as well. You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife.
It was the best butter.
What a funny watch. It tells you the day of the month, but it doesn't tell you what o'clock it is.
Why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Of course not, but that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together.
Well, it's just the case with mine.
I don't quite understand you.
The Dormouse is asleep again. Of course, it's just what I was going to remark myself. Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give it up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Nor I.
I think you might do something better with your time than waste it in asking riddles that have no answer.
If you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't be talking about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you've never even spoken to time.
Perhaps not, but I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
Ah, that accounts for it. He won't stand a beating. If only you kept on good terms with him, he'd do anything you like with the clock. For instance, let's say it was 9 in the morning, just about time to begin lessons. All you had to do was whisper into time, and round goes the clock. Ooh, 1:30. Time for dinner.
I only wish it was.
But then I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know?
Not at first, perhaps, but you could keep it at 1:30 as long as you'd like.
Is that the way you manage?
No, we quarrelled last March before he went mad. You know. It was at the great concert given by the Queen of Hearts. And I had to sing Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. Do you know the song, perhaps?
I've heard something like it.
It goes on, you know, in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle. Twinkle, 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 twinkle. Well, I hardly finished the verse when the Queen jumped up and bawled out, "It's murdering time! Off with his head!"
How dreadfully savage.
And ever since that, time won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now.
Is that the reason there's so many tea things put out?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time now, and we've no time to wash the things in between whiles.
Then you keep moving around, I suppose.
Exactly so, as things get used up.
But what happens when you come back to the beginning again? Suppose we change the subject. I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tells us a story. I'm afraid I don't know one.
Then the Dormouse shall. Wake up, Dormouse! I wasn't asleep. I heard every word you fellows were saying.
Tell us a story. Yes, please do.
You'll have to be quick about it, or else you'll be asleep before it's done. Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters. Their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well.
But what did they live on?
They lived on treacle.
They couldn't have done that. You know, they'd been ill.
So they were very ill.
But why did they live at the bottom of a well?
Take some more tea.
I can't take more. I haven't had any yet.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more of nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Who's making personal remarks now?
Why did they live at the bottom of a well?
It was a treacle well.
There's no such thing.
If you can't be civil, you'd better finish the story yourself.
No, please go on. I won't interrupt again.
And so these 3 little sisters, they learned to draw, you know?
What did they draw?
Treacle. I want a clean cup. Let's all move one place over.
But I don't understand. What did they draw the treacle from?
Well, you can draw water out of a water well, so I suppose you can draw treacle out of a treacle well. You stupid.
But they were in the well.
Well, of course they were. Well, they were beginning to learn how to draw. And they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M.
Why an M? Why not?
Everything that begins with an M, such as mousetraps and the moon and memory and muchness. You know, you say things are much of a muchness. Have you ever seen a thing as a drawing of a muchness?
I don't think so.
Then you shouldn't talk.
Lori, when are you going to your grandfather?
Very soon.
You have said that a dozen times within the last 3 weeks.
I dare say short answers save trouble.
He expects you and you really ought to go. Why don't you?
Natural depravity, I suppose.
Natural indolence, you mean? It's really dreadful.
Not so bad as it seems, for I should only plague him if I went, so I might as well stay and plague you a bit longer. You can bear it better, in fact. I think it agrees with you excellently.
What are you doing just now?
Watching lizards.
No. I mean, what do you intend and wish to do?
Smoke a cigarette, if you'll allow me.
How provoking you are. I don't approve of cigars and will only allow it on condition that you stay as you are and go to sleep if you like. I intend to work hard.
What delightful enthusiasm. How could I sleep when you tire so in your own image?
You look like the effigy of a young knight asleep on his tomb.
Wish I was.
That's a foolish wish to make, unless you've wasted your life. You've so changed, I sometimes think. I'm glad of it, though. I didn't think you'd been a very bad person, although I fancied you might have wasted money at that wicked Baden-Baden, or lost your heart to some charming Frenchwoman with a husband, or got into some of the scrapes young people seem to consider a necessary part of the foreign tour. Come. Let us be friendly as we used to do when we sat in the sofa corner and told secrets.
I'm all ready for secrets.
I've none to tell. You may begin.
Haven't one to bless myself with. When do you complete your great work of art, Raffaella?
Never. Rome took all the vanity out of me, for after seeing the wonders there, I felt too insignificant to live and gave up all my foolish hopes in despair.
Why should you? With so much energy and talent.
That's just why, because talent isn't genius and no amount of energy can make it so. I want to be great or nothing. I won't be a commonplace dauber, so I don't intend to try anymore.
And what are you going to do with yourself now, if I may ask?
Polish up my other talents and be an ornament to society if I get the chance.
And that's where Fred Vaughn comes in, I suppose. I heard rumors about you and Fred last year, and it's my private opinion if that he had been not called home so suddenly or detained so long, something would have come of it, hey?
That's not for me to say.
You are not engaged, I hope.
No.
But you will be, if he comes home and goes down properly on his knees, won't you?
Very likely.
Then are you fond of old Fred?
I could be, if I tried.
But you don't intend to try until the proper moment? Bless my soul, what unearthly prudence. He's a good fellow, Amy, but not the person I'd fancied you'd like.
He's wealthy, a gentleman, and has delightful manners.
I understand. Queens of society can't get on without money, so mean to make a good match and start in that way. Quite right and proper as far as the world goes, but sounds odd coming from the lips of one of your mother's girls.
True, nevertheless. I do wish you'd do me the favor to rouse yourself a little.
Do it for me.
I could if I tried, however, you'd be angry in 5 minutes.
I couldn't be angry with you. It takes 2 flints to start a fire. You are as cool and soft as snow.
You don't know what I can do. Snow produces a glow and a tingle when applied rightly. Your indifference is half affectation, and a good stirring up would prove it.
Stir away.
Do you want to know what I honestly think of you?
Pining to be told.
Well, I despise you.
Why, if you please?
Because for every chance of being good, useful, and happy, you are faulty, lazy, and miserable.
Strong language, mademoiselle.
If you like, I'll go on.
Pray do. It's quite interesting.
I thought you'd find it so. Selfish people always like to talk about themselves. And I'll show you just how selfish you are. I've been studying you while we were frolicking, and I am not at all satisfied with you. Here you have been abroad nearly 6 months, and you have done nothing but waste your time and money and disappoint your friends.
Isn't a person have any pleasure after a 4-year grind?
You don't look at as if you've had much. At any rate, you are none the better for it as far as I can see. I said when we first met that you had improved. Now I take it all back, for I don't think you half so nice as when I left you at home. You've grown abominably lazy. You like gossip. You waste time on frivolous things. You are contented to be petted and admired by silly people instead of being loved and respected by wise ones with money, position, beauty, wealth. You like that old vanity, but it's the truth, so I can't help saying it. With all these splendid things to use and enjoy, you can find nothing to do but dawdle, and instead of being the woman that you ought to be, you are only...
St. Lawrence on a gridiron.
How do you like that?
How well you draw. Yes, that's me.
As you are, and as you were. Don't you remember that day you played Rary with Puck, and Megan and Beth were frightened, but Joe clapped and pranced? And I sat on the fence and drew you. I found that sketch in my portfolio the other day, touched it up, and I kept it to show you.
Much obliged. You've improved immensely since then, and I congratulate you.
Oh, that's Fred. Do you mind?
At nearly a metre long, the tuatara may look like a large lizard, but the resemblance is only skin deep. Tuatara are far more primitive. Their family tree split away from lizards more than 250 million years ago.
It would be easy to lump tuatara in with other reptiles like lizards, like geckos and skinks. But once you see one, it becomes very apparent that they are a completely different animal altogether.
How do I look?
You're beautiful. I mean, yeah, you are beautiful.
Fred.
True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I'd been, and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the woman. She had never wronged me, she had never given me insult. For her gold I had no desire. I think it was her eye. Yes, it was this. She had the eye of a vulture, a stark white eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the woman, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the woman than during the whole week before I killed her. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of her door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, that no light shone out, and then I thrust my head in. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb her sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see her as she lay upon her bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern. Cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously! For the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye, and this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye was always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the woman who vexed me, but her evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to her, calling her by name in a hearty tone and inquiring how she had passed the night. So you see, she would have been a very profound woman, indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in on her while she slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and she not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps she heard me, for she moved on the bed suddenly as if startled. Now, you may think that I drew back, but no. Her room was as black as pitch, with the thick darkness, for the shutters were closed fastened, through fear of robbers, and so I knew that she could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the woman sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear her lie down. She was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it was welled up from my own bosom, deepening, with its dreadful echo, the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the woman felt, and I pitied her, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that she had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when she had turned in the bed. Her fears had been ever since growing upon her. She had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. She had been saying to herself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor." Or, "It is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, she had been trying to comfort herself with these suppositions, but she had found all in vain, because death, in approaching her, had stalked with his black shadow before her, and enveloped the victim, and it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused her to feel, although she neither saw nor heard. to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing her lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a feverish white, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the woman's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the sense? Now I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew the sound well, too. It was the beating of the woman's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The woman's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say louder, every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous. So I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The woman's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. She shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged her to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over her. I then smiled gaily, to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The woman was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, she was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. She was stone dead. Her eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the board so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even hers, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered one woman who introduced herself with perfect suavity as an officer of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and she, the officer, had been sent to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the lady welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The woman, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitor all over the house. I bade her search well. I led her at length to the woman's chamber. I showed the officer her treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired her here to rest from her fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officer was satisfied. My manner had convinced her. I was singularly at ease. She sat, and while I answered cheerily, she chatted of familiar things. But ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished her gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still she sat and she chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definiteness until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt, I now grew very pale. I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for a breath, and yet the officer heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noises steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles, in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would she not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the lady, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore! I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the lady chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible she heard not? Oh my God, no, no! She heard! She suspected! She knew! She was making a mockery of my horror. This I thought and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear that hypocritical smile no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again! Hark! Louder! 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 Louder!
Hope you have a nice day.
Villain! Dissemble no more! I admit the deed! Tear out the planks! Here! Here! It is the beating of her hideous heart!
How now, my love? Why is your cheek so pale? How chance the roses there do fade so fast?
Belike for want of rain, which I could well beteem them from the tempest of my eyes.
Kai me, for aught I could ever read, could ever hear by tale or history, the course of true love never did run smooth. But either it was different in blood.
Oh, cross, too high to be enthralled to love.
Or else misgrafted in respect of years.
Oh, spite, too old to be engaged to young.
Or else it stood upon the choice of friends.
Oh, hell, to choose love by another's eyes.
Or, if there was a sympathy in choice, war, death, or sickness did lay siege to it, making it momentary as a sound, swift as a shadow, short as any dream, brief as the lightning in the Kali night that, in a spleen, unfolds both heaven and earth, and ere a man hath power to say, behold, the jaws of darkness do devour it up. So quick, bright things come to confusion.
If then true lovers have been ever crossed, it stands as an edict in destiny. Then let us teach our trial patience, because it is a customary cross, as due to love as thoughts and dreams and sighs, wishes and tears, poor fancy's followers.
A good persuasion. Therefore, hear me, Hermia. I have a widow aunt, a dowager of great revenue, and she hath no child. From Athens is her house remote 7 leagues, and she respects me as her only son. There, gentle Hermia, may I marry thee, and to that place the sharp Athenian law cannot pursue us. If thou lovest me, then steal forth thy father's house tomorrow night, and in the wood a league without the town, where I did meet thee once with Helena to do observance to a morn of May, there will I stay for thee.
My good Lysander, I swear to thee, by Cupid's strongest bow, by his best arrow with the golden head, by the simplicity of Venus doves, by that which knitteth souls and prospers loves, and by that fire which burned the Carthage queen when the false Trojan under sail was seen, by all the vows that ever men have broke, in number more than ever women spoke. In that same place thou hast appointed me, tomorrow truly will I meet with thee.
Keep promise, love.
Fair love, you faint with wandering in the woods, and speak troth, I have forgot our way. Well, rest us, Hermia, if you think it good, and tarry for the comfort of the day.
Be it so, Lysander. Find you out of bed, for I, upon this bank, will rest my head.
One turf shall serve as pillow for us both. One heart, one bed, two bosoms, and a single troth.
Nay, good Lysander, for my sake, my dear, lie further off yet. Do not lie so near.
Take the sense, sweet of my innocence. Love takes the meaning in love's conference. I mean that my heart unto yours is knit, so that one heart we may make of it. Two bosoms interchained with an oath. So then two bosoms and a single troth. Then by your side no bedroom me denied. For lying so, Hermia, I do not lie.
Lysander riddles very prettily. Now, much beshrew my manners and my pride if Hermia meant to say Lysander lied, but, gentle friend, for love and courtesy, lie further off in human modesty. Such separation, as may well be said, becomes a virtuous bachelor and a maid. So far be distant, and good night, sweet friend. Thy life, thy love, ne'er alter till thy sweet life end.
Amen. Amen to that fair prayer, say I, and so end life when I end loyalty. Here is my bed. Sleep give thee all his rest.
And hath that wish, the wisher's eyes be pressed.
Good evening. Miss Harker.
Yes?
You've cut yourself.
So I have.
You must take care. Take care in how you cut yourself. It is most dangerous in this country.
Where are my papers? Answer me, please! They're gone! Notes, letters, even the deed to the property itself, as yet unsigned, gone.
You've been blessed with the disappearance! How fortunate.
And my clothes? All but what I have on is missing.
I'll get you a nice cape. Now, tell me of my new home.
I've already told you. For a week now!
Tell me! Again! I must be certain. Is it an old place?
Yes. As I've told you.
I'm so glad. For you see, Miss Harker, I'm old. Old in ways which few can rival or understand, and to live in a new home would kill me. Do tell me the name again. Excellent. A fine and noble name. And its location? Splendid. As for the light, is it well appointed?
Oh, no. In fact, it is quite shrouded in darkness.
I commend you, Miss Harker. I love the shade and the shadow, the solitude and potent quiet of the night.
But there is no quiet here. Only this digging. I'm forever haunted by it. Shovels digging, doors being opened and shut.
Only my servants below, doing my bidding.
And the boxes? Large boxes being hauled out the past 3 days and nights. What is the meaning of that?
That work is entrusted to another solicitor, my friend. I beg you not to press me any further. We must go to England. I'm starving for want of companionship, for want of life. Here's the deed. It only lacks your signature.
How did you...
Come, Miss Harker. Finish what you've started. Your good work will be rewarded tenfold.
I want to leave.
Very well.
I want to leave tonight.
Tomorrow, my friend, we shall part. You return to your beautiful England. Your letter home has already been dispatched. Tomorrow I shall not be here, but all shall be ready for your journey. My carriage shall come for you, and shall bear you to the Borgo Pass to meet the diligence between Bukovina and Bitsritz. But I am in hopes that I will see more of you at Castle Dracula.
Why may I not go tonight?
The coachman and horses are away.
I'll walk with pleasure. I want to get away at once.
Alone among the wolves!
I'll hazard a chance. Now, please, point me to the door.
Oh, Miss Harker, I'll point you to the door! You English have a saying that's very near and dear to my heart. Forged spirits is what rules our boyars. Welcome the coming, speak the parting guest. Not an hour you shall stay in my house any longer against your will. Though saddened I am at your parting and so suddenly desire it. For you see, Miss Harker, I'm happy to speed your parting. I have all I need of you, Miss Harker. Your work is at an end.
No, let me go. I have to go.
And I shall carry your memory with me to England.
The boxes. Mina, be warned.
Are you good men and true?
Yea, or else it were pity, but they should suffer salvation, body and soul. Oh. Well, give them their charge, neighbor Dogberry.
First, who think you the most desertless man to be constable? Oh, come hither, neighbor Seacole.
Hugh Oakcake, sir, or George Seacole, for they can write and read.
God have blessed you with a good name. To be a well-favored man is the gift of fortune, but to write and read comes by nature.
Both, which, Master Constable?
You have. I knew it would be your answer. Well, for your favor, sir, why, give God thanks and make no boast of it. And as for your writing and reading, let that appear when there is no need of such vanity. You are thought here to be the most senseless and fit man for the Constable of the Watch. Therefore, bear you the lantern. This is your charge. You shall comprehend all vagrant men. You are to bid any man stand in the prince's name.
How if it will not stand?
Why then, let him go. And presently, call the rest of the watch together, and thank God you are rid of a knave.
If he will not stand when he has bid him, he is none of the prince's subjects.
True, and they are to meddle with none but the prince's subjects. You shall also make no noise in the streets, for the watch to babble and to talk is most tolerable and not to be endured.
We will rather sleep than talk. We know it belongs to a watch.
Why, you speak like an ancient and most quiet watchman. For I cannot see how sleeping should offend. Only take care that your bills be not stolen. You are to call at all the alehouses, and bid those that are drunk get them to bed.
How if they will not?
Why then, let them alone till they are sober.
Well, sir.
If you, If you meet a thief, you may suspect him by virtue of your office to be no true man. And for such kind of men, why, the less you meddle or make with them, the more is for your honesty.
If we know him to be a thief, shall we not lay hands on him?
Truly by your office you may, but I think those that touch pitch will be defiled. The most peaceable way for you, if you do take a thief, is to let him show himself what he is and steal out of your company.
You have always been called a merciful man, partner.
I would not hang a dog by my will, much more a man who hath any honesty in him.
'Tis very true.
Well, masters, good night. If there be any matter of weight chances, call up me, keep your fellows' counsels and your own, and good night.
Well, masters, we hear our charge. Let us go meet there upon the church bench till 2, and then all to bed.
A word more, honest neighbors. I pray thee watch over Senor Leonardo's door. With the wedding being there tomorrow, there's a great coil tonight. Adieu, be vigilant, I beseech you.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Yo, is this the Chad convention?
Didn't have any time to get some stylish underwear. My wife gave me this on my last birthday. I passed away in it. Oh, look at that. Holmes is drying out too. You should read the new book Arthur's writing now.
How'd you happen to fall in?
I didn't fall in. I jumped in to save George.
You what? Save me?
Well, I didn't I? You didn't go through with it, did you?
Go through with what?
Suicide.
Suicide's illegal around here.
Yeah, it's illegal where I come from, too.
Where do you come from?
Heaven? I had to act quickly, that's why I jumped in. I knew if I were drowning, you would try to save me, and see, you did. That's how I saved you.
Very funny.
Your lip's bleeding, George.
Oh, yeah, I got a bust in the jaw in answer to a prayer a little bit ago.
No, I'm the answer to your prayer. That's why I was sent down here.
How do you know my name?
I know all about you. I've watched you grow up since you were a little boy.
You mind reader or something?
Oh, no.
Well, who are you then?
Claire Oddbody, AS2.
Oddbody, AS2. What's that AS2?
Angel, 2nd class. Cheerio, my good lady, and thank you for the towels.
Oh, brother, what martini put in these drinks? Hey, what's with you? What'd you just say? Why'd you try to save me?
That's why I was sent down here. I'm your guardian angel.
Oh, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Ridiculous of thinking of killing yourself. $8,000.
Yeah, just things. Now, how'd you know that?
I told you I'm your guardian angel. That's why I was sent down here.
You look like the kind of angel I get. Sort of a fallen angel, aren't you? What happened to your wings?
I haven't won my wings. That's why I'm an angel second class.
I don't know whether I like it very much being seen around with an angel without any wings.
Oh, I've got to earn them. And you'll help me, won't you?
Oh, sure. How?
By letting me help you.
There's only one way you can help me. You don't happen to have $8,000 laying around, do you?
No. We don't use money in heaven.
Oh, I forgot. Well, it comes in pretty handy down here, bub. I found out a little late I'm worth more dead than alive.
You mustn't say things like that. I won't get my wings with that attitude. You just don't know all that you've done. Without you...
Yeah, without me, everybody'd be a lot better off. My wife, my kids, my friends. Look, lady, why don't you go haunt someone else, won't you?
You don't understand. I've got my job.
Ah, shut up.
This isn't gonna be so easy. So you still think killing yourself will make everyone feel happier, eh?
Oh, I don't know. I guess you're right. Maybe it would have been better if I hadn't been born at all.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
You mustn't say things like that. Wait. Wait a minute. That's an idea. Yeah. What do you think? All right. That'll work. You've got your wish. You've never been born. Well, you don't have to make all that fuss about it.
What'd you say?
You've never been born. You don't exist. You haven't a care in the world. No worries, no obligations, no $8,000 to get, no Potter looking for you with the sheriff.
Say something else in that ear.
Sure, you can hear out of it.
That's the doggonest thing. I haven't heard out of that ear since I was a kid. Must have been that jump in the cold water.
Your lips stopped bleeding too, George.
Well, what do you know about that? Hey, what's happened? Hey, these things are all wrong. What? Come on, as soon as our things are dry.
Our things are dry.
What about that? The sun's hotter than I thought. Come on, put on your clothes and we'll stroll on up to my. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stroll and you'll fly.
I can't fly. I haven't got any wings.
That's right. Yeah,
Miss Bennett, I have struggled in vain, but I can bear it no longer. These past months have been a torment. I came to Rosings with the single object of seeing you. I had to see you.
Me.
I have fought against my better judgment, my moral obligation, my family's expectation, the inferiority of your birth, my rank and circumstance, all of those things. But I'm willing to put them aside and ask you to end my agony.
I don't understand.
I love you. Most ardently. Please do me the honor of accepting my hand.
In such cases as this, it is, I believe, the established mode to express a sense of obligation for the sentiments avowed, however unequally they may be returned. It is natural that obligation should be felt, and if I could feel gratitude, I would now thank you, but I cannot. I have never desired your good opinion, and you have certainly bestowed it most unwillingly. But I am sorry to have occasioned pain to anyone. It was most Unconsciously done, however, and I hope will be of short duration. The feelings which you tell me have long prevented the acknowledgement of your regard can have little difficulty in overcoming it after this explanation.
And this is all the reply of which I am to have the honor of expecting. I may perhaps wish to know why, with such little endeavor at civility, I am thus rejected. But it is of small importance.
Well, I might as well inquire why, with so evident a desire of offending and insulting me, you chose to tell me that you liked me against your will, against your reason, and even against your character. Was not this some excuse for incivility if I was uncivil? But I have other provocations. You know I have. Had not my feelings been decided against you, had they been indifferent, or had they even been favorable, do you think that any consideration would tempt me to accept the man who has been the means of ruining, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister? I have every reason in the world to think ill of you. No motive can excuse the unjust and ungenerous part you acted there. You dare not, you cannot deny that you have been the principal, if not the only means of separating them from each other, of exposing one to the censure of the world for caprice and instability, and the other to its derision for disappointed hopes, and involving them both in misery of the acutest kind. Can you deny that you've done it?
I have no wish of denying that I did everything in my power to separate my friend from your sister, or that I rejoice in that success. But towards him, I have been kinder than towards myself.
But it is not merely this affair on which my dislike is founded. Long before it had taken place, my opinion of you was decided. Your character was unfolded in a recital which I received many months ago from Mr. Wickham.
Mr. Wickham?
Yes, Mr. Wickham. And on this subject, what can you have to say? And what imaginary act of friendship can you hear defend yourself? Or under what misrepresentation can you hear impose upon others?
You take an eager interest in that gentleman's concern.
Well, who that knows what his misfortunes have been can help feeling an interest.
His misfortunes, yes, his misfortunes have been great indeed.
Well, and of your infliction. You have reduced him to this present state of poverty, comparative poverty. You've withheld the advantages which you must know to have been designed for him, and you have deprived the best years of his life of that independence which was no less due than his desert. You have done all this, yet you treat the mention of misfortune with contempt and ridicule.
And this is your opinion of me. This is the estimation in which you hold me. Thank you for explaining it so fully. My faults, according to this calculation, are heavy indeed. But perhaps these offenses might have been overlooked had not your pride been hurt by my honest confession of the scruples that have long prevented me from forming any serious design. These bitter accusations might have been suppressed had I, with greater policy, concealed my struggles and flattered you into the belief of my being impelled by unqualified, unalloyed inclination. By reason, by reflection, by everything. But disguise of every sort is my abhorrence. Nor am I ashamed of the feelings that I related. They were natural and just. Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections? To congratulate myself on the hope of relations whose condition in life is so decidedly beneath my own?
You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy. If you suppose that the mode of your declaration affected me in any other way, then has it spared me the concern in which I might have felt that you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner. You could not have made the offer of your hand in any way that would have tempted me to accept it. From the very beginning, from the first moment, I may almost say, of my acquaintance with you, your manners, impressing me with the fullest belief of your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain of the feelings of others, were such as to form the groundwork of disapprobation on which succeeding events have built so immovable a dislike. And I had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I could ever be prevailed on to marry.
You have said quite enough, madam. I perfectly comprehend your feelings and have nothing but to be ashamed of what my own have been. Forgive me for having taken up so much of your time, and accept my wishes for your health and happiness.
Jen, I love you most ardently.